Hi, I am Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV, and we are at the Conscious Live Expo. We are blessed tonight of having here Kasey and Brad Wallis. Thank you and welcome.
Oh my goodness, It's our honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. So I am extremely thrilled really to have both Kasey and Brad with us tonight because they are channelists. So the first question I would like to ask them, what makes them channelists?
I'm a trance channel. That means that an intelligent group uses my body to convey conversation and communication with you. Some people channel and they're very, very conscious of where they're getting their inspiration from and expanding their consciousness and demonstrating it, like artists, musicians, writers, television hosts. Mm-hmm. And others are trance channels. So that means that when I'm channeling my group Julius, my consciousness kind of steps out of the way, and they're able to communicate with you. And they kind of gently fade back out and let me to have some of the space. So I consider myself a trance channelist.
All right. And what does Brad role?
I actually get the opportunity to view the whole conversation from what we call the observer effect.
Okay.
So in other words, in my mind or in my subconscious, I'm actually watching the conversation that's going on with a different perspective as to what they're talking about. So if something is said during the conversation that is not correct or it's not intended to be the way it's supposed to be presented, then I will correct what they're saying, because the human language sometimes gets so complicated in its translation.
He's also a great grounding effect for me. This is actually his group that I channel, okay? So this is a group that Brad has had many, many lives with. They came through a transmission for me when Brad had sustained a massive brain injury through a car accident and had lost his ability to communicate. So Julius came through me to help him back through his healing process, and kind of worked really well, and the mojo just kind of stuck, and so we kind of have this three-party thing going on. It's kind of fun.
Well, do you think that's a gift that you always had and kind of transpired when you had this particular condition?
Yeah. When I was a young boy growing up, me and my younger brother would actually have conversations about the people that we would see in the room and places that we would go and things that we would see. And my parents, who were extremely religious, kind of told me that we didn't do that. It was not acceptable. And so I stifled that in my life. I set it all aside, even though as I walked into a room, I knew what everybody was thinking before I ever had a conversation with anybody. And so through the years, setting it aside, not worrying about it, not thinking about it, holding it down, it was literally aging me inside, and I was starting to get sick from it.
So we had to hit him on the head.
That's a nice way to put it. Very optimistic, nice way.
Right.
A nice way to put it. Extraordinary. You talk about a group.
Yes.
I mean, a group, that relationship that you have with the group. Do we all have this power or possibility to reach out to a group? Where is this group?
The group of Julius, when your soul leaves your physical body, if it chooses not to reincarnate itself back in a seemingly individualized experience, there's a little bit more of a collective consciousness. You've all heard the term that we are all one, and that is the truth. And it depends on your stages and phases of consciousness as to where you choose to reside. This particular group was physical in many, many, many lives with Brad, more as individual lives. Julius was the predominant one that shared many, many lives with Brad. Now, though, they don't come back to physical. So you'll hear Julius refer to itself many times as we, more of a kind of a collective access consciousness. to source or God or all thought. So when a being continues to reincarnate itself, it will sometimes just have a singular name because it more than likely may come back if it decides to do so. There's different phases and stages of consciousness, and so when a intelligence or a wisdom comes through and they refer to themselves more as a we, it's helpful to giving you an indication that they're probably a pretty high consciousness state rather than just an I. Same thing with people.
I see. And this, when you are able to talk to Julius' group, is that something that can help other people to get healed, to experience
That's what it's for.
a higher level of consciousness?
Right.
How can that help everybody else?
The stages and phases of consciousness are the answer to everything that limits you. Everything that limits you, okay? From physical ailments, diseases, chronic conditions, erosion of any kind, to lack of abundance, lack of love, lack of knowing in yourself, Master, is a disconnection of you knowing your source, yourself as source. The conscious journey is what reveals that truth to you and lets go of all resistances in your life. So it is the journey that you take, period. It's not that we take you on that journey. We help lead you or remind you on how you can navigate more seamlessly through your journey, So the answer to anything that limits you is a high conscious state, because in a highest conscious state, all limitation breaks away.
So that means that I can actually ask the group, Julius' group, a question.
Right now.
Absolutely.
And that question is going to be related to my higher self?
Yes.
Right.
Really?
Yes. They're here right now.
Okay, could we do
Ask.
that now?
You bet.
Is that something that...
Fire away.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Okay, what would you like me to do or the rest of the group?
Just ask. Whatever
ask.
comes to your mind.
Okay. Do you have to get ready for that?
I'm
or
ready.
no?
We're there.
Excellent. So I'll start asking a very easy question. So we're extremely blessed at Mindalia TV to be here today.
Yes, you are.
We have a few millions of people that want together with us to increase the level of consciousness. And we are actually launching today at this expo, we are launching our English speaking channel.
Wonderful.
Could they or he tell us what would be the number one advice that they would give us so we are able to increase in our reach here in this English or among the English speaking community in the US?
Be who you are naturally, and you will attract everyone, Master. You are extraordinary. All you have to do is be your authentic self. It always works. Always. Okay? Most human embodiments are afraid of their authenticity. In fact, usually they don't even know their authenticity. But you have a very strong sense of that which lies within. So just do who you are. Your whole staff is extraordinary as well. That frequency outreaches to all embodiments everywhere, seeking for a higher truth and wisdom from within. Trust the process. What we can tell you is it is already been projected, as you know, because you dreamt it, and now you get to experience it. Have no fear along the process. Fear is that which causes resistance. Anything that comes up that may be perceived as an obstacle, see the seed of the issue, Master, and see the opportunity in it. That shifts the energy from fear into love, and that's all the momentum that you need. And we will tell you this, if you ride on that momentum, you'll be riding much higher than most.
Can I ask Brad you a question? How do you know when it's the physical Kasey answering or it's Julius and Julius' group?
Partly because I'm seeing the conversation, so I know it's them who's talking. And a good key to that, or an indicator in the communication, is when the word master is used. Julius, the group Julius, will always contact you and explain to you as master. Because you are a master.
You're the master of your experience and your reality. All souls are. All souls are. It's the most empowering word that we can use for you because it makes you the director, you the master, and that is the truth.
Thank you. Thank you. So, how do you feel? How do you feel when you start making a big difference among the people that you reach out to?
Joy. Joy and bliss. Joy and bliss. Expansion is that. And when you are able to reveal the possibilities of expansion in another, it is extraordinary. It's like this. When you were a child, Christmas morning was the best thing ever because you got to get up in the morning and you got to get gifts, right? And you thought when you were a child, this is the best, this is the best. And then you grew up and you became the person who wrapped the presents and put them under the tree. And you got to experience the day that someone else opened the gift. And you thought, that's really what I was looking for. That feeling, Master.
Thank you. Speaking of children, is this, are there kids that can be channelists?
Most of them are, actually. Most of them are on the point of arrival. That is the truth. It will remain with them until most of the people around them disconnect them from that. By embedment of fear and limitation, extremely limiting belief systems, and lots of agenda and lots of requirement for them. It's like severing the cord. It's like severing the cord. The extraordinary thing is that the millennia children and the new indigo children arriving are extraordinarily wise teachers. It's actually getting more and more difficult to disconnect them. That's good news. Of course, they will seem like they don't obey, and they will seem like they are full of trouble and a little too much spark, and we say, just harness them, love them, and let it be unleashed, and learn from them. Learn from them.
Wouldn't the education system in the world be totally different if the children were allowed to teach from their perspective instead of what humans or parents think we all need to be taught?
Well, they think that they know everything that is valuable to know. And actually, they just have bought into other people's truth and tried to own it as their own. Children dig very deep inside of themselves and reveal their truth. And then most physical human embodiments will either tell them their truth is right or wrong. Right?
Yes.
And so if you tell them that all truth is, because truth is the way something feels. It's the way something feels. And then if you tell a child that their truth is wrong, you're telling them that their feelings are wrong, and you immediately start to disempower them and disconnect them from their soul, because the soul is the emotional processor of thought. What you can tell them is that all truth simply is, and does the truth serve you as well as others? If it does not, then expand your truth. Expand your truth. Never cause limitation in your life. Love and expansion is always the answer.
So among our audience, I'm sure that there's many parents, many uncles and aunties, many grandpas and grandmas. Probably many of them are already grown-ups. Those kids have already, grown. And what can we do as adults to bring them back to where they were? Is that a possibility?
It is. And most of it is to, number one, expand your mind and your own truth. And therefore you are demonstrating to them that they can always move and always shift and change. You can never teach a child by what you tell them. You have to show them. You have to show them. So when you desire to unleash empowerment, you must find your own empowerment and demonstrate how it was unleashed so that they learn how to do that, right? Speaking to young people and all people everywhere and always telling them that their truth is right. It is, because it feels right to them, but that there's always more. No matter who you are, there's always more, and that gives the permission and the allowance. That lets go of shame and unworthiness and guilt and remorse, which gets passed down from generation to generation, and the righteousness, and we say you're all right. The question is, does your rightness have limitation or total possibility to it?
Wow. Well, we are at the end of our interview. I am absolutely overwhelmed by your wisdom and by the power of your emotions and your love. But I wouldn't like to finish the interview before you give our audience just, I would say one, being a little bit egotistic here, one piece of advice each that you would like to give them.
There's two things humans are afraid of. Two things. And your whole life is wrapped around these two things. Fear and how powerful you are. Learn how powerful you are, and you will never have any fear in your life.
We would love everybody to know that they are extraordinary. They are. Everyone is extraordinary because everyone is source. And every time that you've ever thought of yourself as anything less than, you have only fooled yourself.
Excellent. This was Kasey and Brad Wallis from the Conscious Life Expo, and I am Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much for being here with us. Bye-bye.